Hello everybody, welcome along to the Event Industry News podcast with me, James Dickson. Wishing you all a very good morning, afternoon or evening, whenever or wherever you tune in to today's podcast from. And speaking of wherever you tune in today's podcast from, look at where I am, everybody. Not sat at home at an upright piano with a laptop in front of me. I've still got a laptop in front of me, but I'm in an actual place today rather than at home. We're at Confex 2026 at Excel in London, and we're very fortunate that our good friends at Evolution Dome have let us hijack one of their nice little structures on their exhibition stand and record some of the podcasts here today. And we've already done a couple of recordings where I've given them a name check, but this is an opportunity to actually thank them in person, because I'm joined on today's podcast by my guest, Ash Austin, who's the founder, CEO. What's your job title nowadays?
Director, yeah. Nothing too fancy, James.
Nothing too fancy, but
many hats.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, job titles can be a bit misleading sometimes because, you know, you're regularly reversing vans up to places and setting these things up as well, aren't you?
Still hands-on. Still enjoy it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we're in one of their fabulous sort of little inflatable structures. If you don't know what the guys at Evolution Dome do, please do go and check them out. Just search for them, go to their website. But effectively, you are specialists in the inflatable structure market, aren't you, Ash?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, celebrating 15 years in the industry, providing temporary inflatable structures to all sorts, really. Conferences, product launches, brand activations, exhibitions, meetings, events.
Yeah. And the beauty about them is, I suppose, they're so easy to deploy. I've seen them in action. I've used them, right? You get these, and I'm going to use the phrase bouncy castle. I know you hate it, but if anybody's seen one go up, we talk about that in seconds, aren't we? You plug it in, you have the pump, and up they go. So one of the key things about them is just how easily they are to deploy.
Yeah, rapid to set up, rapid to take down. They pack down so small, so cost-effective and sustainable to transport, and many benefits. You know, they're soundproof.
Yeah.
Because of the natural way they're designed and built, they've got an air cavity, so they're effective to both heat and cool.
Yeah.
So a number of benefits over traditional options on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And they look great as well, don't they? They look really cool. They've always looked really funky. You might just see some of the pictures on the screen, but, you know, have a look at some of their photos. They look great, don't they?
Yeah, quite often in an exhibition environment, they are a feature area which gets sponsored and things like that, because they are something different. They are eye-catching and unique.
And because they're white as well, again, I've got experience of doing this, you can light them really effectively. You know, with basic LED uplighting, you can instantly transform a space and give it some colour because they are white.
Yeah, they can instantly be on brand and on point for whatever that is.
And you said at the start, you're 15 years in this game now. You've done a lot of events, you've learned a lot of things, you've got a lot of experience, you've worked with a lot of people, and all of that has kind of come, in some respects, I guess, full circle to something that you've recently put a lot of work into and launched. Tell us a little bit about the book that's now available.
Yeah, so we've just this week launched the Pink Book. It's not a promotional piece. It's more an educational piece and something to try and help organisers navigate the world of temporary inflatable structures. Temporary inflatable structures have become a big part of infrastructure, a big core part of events now that are a lot more popular. And it was something really the Pink Book was launched to help educate these organisers, the people, to the benefits, the pros, the cons, the build methodology, sustainability around them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inconsistent advice. There's a lot of people that, perhaps not so much in the UK now, the educational journey for us as a business is we've probably done that. People understand the benefits. They understand as long as they're built right, the risk is minimal. You know, it's no different to any other temporary structure built outside. But it's just to try and understand.
It's different to some of the guidance around traditional structure build is not applicable to this because, you know, you're dealing with something that's much lighter in weight, so therefore it might be more susceptible to certain things, but also because it's much lighter weight, it's not relevant to other elements of structure build guidance, is it?
Well, it's exactly what you just said there, though. When you look at temporary structures, there's the muter, there's loads of guidance out there around it. There's absolutely hardly anything. There's nothing for inflatables, and whether that be a temporary structure or an art installation, which we've all seen in the news, can go terribly wrong because yeah, they might look fantastic, but have they gone through the design and the wind tests and the anchoring and the things like that they need to actually be out there where they are?
Yeah.
And it's 20 odd documents put together that don't feature us as a business. They're looking at how we can help improve the industry, really, and give someone something to refer back to.
Which I guess ultimately the byproduct of that is that it will help you, but because by not assisting the wider industry and producing some guidance like this, other suppliers who maybe don't do it as well as you guys, or don't do it with guidance, or maybe do dry hire and it goes to production companies who don't have the experience of using it and deploy them badly, ultimately that's going to reflect badly on the inflatable structure industry, which will have an impact on you. So by having better operations on a wider scale, it comes back to you anyway, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean, we've spent 15 years, personally I've spent 15 years building the product within the industry and making it recognised as a safe and unique but safe space. And you only need one person to have a bad experience, and that trust's gone, isn't it? Whereas if we can help shape that safety factor in the industry and how things should be done, then hopefully it's only going to grow, like you said, the inflatable product industry.
Yeah, inflatable product, because you do see more and more of them. And I guess I've seen a lot of them in the early days. I mean, I've known you and known of Evolution Dome almost since you guys started in the industry. Our paths have crossed through events, and you and I have known each other. And I used to see them awful lot indoors, like we are today. We're at XL, so for meeting pods, stuff like that, great. They've got a certain amount of weight to them with a little bit of extra weight and what have you. Fairly easy to deploy inside, aren't they? It's the outdoor market that really can be a bit of the Wild West.
100%. But then we'll go on to the outdoor market, but we'll come back to the indoor. Because the outdoor market, obviously you've got wind load, rain, snow. So you've got all of them contend with, uplifts, slide, coefficient frictions, all them sort of things to contend with. And without overselling ourselves, we are the only product on the market which is inflatable product that's wind rated to 55 miles an hour.
Right.
Generally, anything over that wind speed on an outdoor event, your event's going to be cancelled anyway. So we're up there with the likes of a traditional marquee supplier. But there's a lot of products out there that look similar that are perhaps only 30 miles an hour. And it's educating people that before you book, them calculations should be received and form part of your wind management plan before you go and overcommit yourself. Because ultimately, it's your reputation as an organiser or the brand to maintain that element. But going back to the indoor stuff, while you haven't got them sort of things to rely on, if the power's to fail an inflatable product, it can come down quite quickly. Whereas all of our enclosed products have got a sealed air beam system, which means, like this for instance last night, show power went off last night, the product remained up, come in this morning, it's still here. And there's that element of risk. If they're not got this built in, then they need an aluminium truss, or they need something in there to offer that safety barrier. And it's just educating people that use the product that that's what they should be doing.
And I guess when you look at photos of products in this marketplace, you could look at 3 or 4 products that on the face of it look identical. Oh, it's an 8-meter dome with a doorway entrance into it. One from this company, one from this. And we'll choose the cheapest one. I guess not all products are made equally. So your wind rating, I was going to ask, the 55 miles an hour, is that a combination of the weight that you put on it and then also actually the quality of the things like the stitching in the actual structure itself? Yeah, so
material warp and weft strengths, seam strengths, all of that will be built in. The actual pressure in the wall makes a massive difference, because an inflatable structure in high winds is actually like a piece of jelly on a plate. It just wants to deflect. And as long as it's got the correct ballast, it's not going to move. It's just going to deflect. And the pressure in the wall and the sealed air beams are what stops that deflection. So if you took a traditional marquee in 45, 50 mile an hour winds, you quite often got purlings, chattering. It's a noisy space to be in. With inflatable, you've got none of that. So you've got a benefit. And as long as that is managed right, it can be a better solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've all been in there, wedding marquees, and they get bad weather and it's raining and you can hear clatter, 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 all the little fixings that have got, 2 or 3 mil of give in them, and they're clattering together and you feel like the roof's about to come off it. It's mad, really. And like this thing about quality of products is really important, because it's the same with anything in the events industry. Take a speaker, for example, a PA system speaker. It's a black box. To a lot of people, it just looks like a black box with a speaker that makes noise. You could put 4 or 5 in front of you. One's 200 quid, one's £1,000, one's £2,000, one's 10 grand, and they all, to certain people, they will all look like a box with a speaker in it that makes noise. And that is the same for, probably we could draw up a list of a dozen different things in the industry that are like that, and like anything like that, it comes to education, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. There's a safety concern, which is mainly what the Pink Book's concentrated on. But there's the other. I think the organisers got to compare apples with apples. We've had 3 people on the stand today that have talked about they've had and used an inflatable before, but they couldn't believe how quiet this was. And I was like, how do you mean? They had external blowers, that like what a bouncy castle would have. So they had a terrible experience. So why I say I think we've educated people, we probably still haven't.
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, and yeah, quality of that. I'm sat, what you can't see on camera is right by me as a fan blowing. And I've been sat next to this all morning and
You can't hear it.
I can't hear it. And again, I'm not here to sell the stuff, but I've used your stuff in real world environments. I've used them as meeting pods, and I can't recall anybody's ever come out of a meeting and gone, well, yeah, we couldn't hear ourselves thinking there because of a noisy blower. But we all know what the bouncy castle one at the fun fair sounds like, and those structures are out there because they're probably at a lower price point, aren't they?
Exactly that. It's a lower price point, and it's the document. The Pink Book wasn't put together as a sales document because that's just not what it's about. It's more about educating people, and it's that safety factor. There's going to be pros and cons to whatever supply you go with, whether that be price, whether that be fan noise, delivery, all of them kind of things. It was mainly to highlight these are the things you should be considering and help them in that journey.
What about extremes of temperature? How does that affect it?
So we've got stuff out in Dubai where you're 35, 40 degrees outside and you're cooling it down to 18 degrees. We've done some stuff with people that make fake snow.
Yeah.
And we can actually, 20 degrees outside, we can keep it -3 inside. Because they're insulated with that air cavity, they're effective to both heat and cool.
Yeah. It's like a giant puffer jacket.
It is, in essence. And that's just in the nature of the design.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've always liked is I spend a lot of my time doing technical production for people. So inevitably there is audio involved. And I spend my life trying to get microphones nice and clean so that audiences can hear a presenter at a lectern and stuff like that. And I've done it so many times. I turn up. I remember a job last year that was a well-known sports stadium in the north of England with a fabulous new hospitality suite. But there was glass everywhere. And it just reflects everywhere, and they look fabulous and they look stunning, but then actually to do an event in them from a technical point of view is a real challenge, lighting and sound. And I would say to sort of any organiser, as somebody who works on producing events, something like this gives you so much flexibility. And I know we were here today to sort of talk about other things, but the acoustic side of things I've always found is a massive benefit of stuff like this, because you can point a speaker and there's no reflective surfaces. It's all uneven, it's fairly soft, there's some give to it, the pressure in the walls is not too high, and it's great.
It just absorbs the sound.
Yeah, it really makes the job of setting up and logistics and production so much easier. And I wanted to throw that in there today because I can testify to it.
Testimonial if you ever heard.
Yeah. The book itself, have you printed copies? Is it going to be a digital only document?
It's digital. It's completely free to download. You can join the mailing list and get an article every 2 weeks sent for you for nothing, or you can download the full PDF and just refer back to anyone. It's completely free, and it's, like I say, it's not a promotional piece. It's out there to help try and push the inflatable structure industry in the right direction and educate people. And we've got competitors. It's no bad thing, and if we can help them from our 15 years experience, do things something a little bit better, then we've done the right thing for the industry.
Absolutely. And as I said, ultimately, it's going to come full circle. You know, you won't be the first company in the events industry to lead the way by doing something that, on the face of it, is not a direct promotion for them, but by being a thought leader, by being, you know, somebody who's leading the way in developing better practices in the industry. Yeah. Ultimately, that's got to benefit, and that's got to come full circle, I think.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And, you know, for the record, whilst we're recording, thanks for letting us do this today. It's great. You know, I feel like they've let me out. You know, like that. They've let me out of the. You know, they give me day release.
This is actually the third thing to celebrate at Confex. This is a brand new product. It's called the Nexus Pod. So we've had meeting pods in the range for 15 years, and from the mice industry, the request was they want something more private.
Yeah.
Something where the conversation couldn't leave.
Yeah.
So it's complete with a glass door, an enclosed roof, and it's just
Maybe we'll get a bit of B-roll footage, and we'll just chop that into the edit here as we're talking about that, and we'll show the little door, because what you can't see at the moment is I'm looking straight down the camera, and behind the camera is the door that leads into it, and we are fully sealed. You might hear a bit of ambient noise, but to all intents and purposes, we're in a private room here with a proper door at the end. It's not a floaty, flexible little thing. It's like a push bar fire door, effectively. So yeah, great addition to the portfolio. And thanks for letting us set up and do these today. Just a reminder, we're on the Evolution Dome stand at Confex and Event Production Show 2026. Thanks very much to my guest, Ash Austin, and to his team for sort of looking after us and letting us basically crash on the stand today and set up a few microphones and do this. It's been great. Don't forget that if you've listened to this on one of your audio podcast platforms, do make sure that you go over to eventindustrynews.com, where you can check out video versions of all of the podcasts, as well as the A to Z supplier directory. If you work in the industry and you're looking for a product or a service, the chances are you'll find it on the A to Z supplier directory over on eventindustrynews.com, along with the podcast. You may have started your journey there today by watching the podcast. Thanks very much for doing so, but please do make sure that you go in the opposite direction and subscribe to the audio versions of the podcast wherever you get them from. That could be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, all of those platforms. So thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks again to the team at Evolution Dome for having us today, and we'll see you on the next edition. Thanks, guys.